since I have a hidden feature in the background, I want to show that using hidden lines as well as a section view with a cutting plane line to show us that as a half section. So what I'll do is create the cutting plane line on my top view and replace the front view with a half section. So for the half, I want to be halfway between, so 3.5 over, so halfway in here. I'm going to go with a pattern that is a long, short, long dashed line for my cutting plane line. And for the half section, I want it to go through halfway on my front view here, and then also to a depth of halfway here. So assuming that my object is going to come up to the halfway point. I'm going to do my cutting plane first to show you that that would then create a cut line through the front through the middle of my object. Now, depending on what the feature looks like, it's going to change how I create my view. So if this is a circular cutout, what I want to do first is create the outer shape of my object. So I'm going to do split the difference here. So if I was 7 high, my center point is going to be right here. So my radius will go out to here for an object that it has a diameter of 3. So I can give myself a little bit of a guide, giving this little window shape that encapsulates the radius of everything, which can help me to draw my outer bounds. And then use that to create connections between the arcs. And we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into circular features. But I would just sketch my shape first. And then for the side where my section cut is, everything that is material would be shaded with the hatch pattern. And then where my shape is would become a visible line. But on the other side, where it's a hidden line, I would change that visible edge to being dashed. And these should be all equally spaced dashes, unlike our cutting plane line. Now, above where we have our cutting plane line, we would want to also show the projection of those hidden lines. So here, assuming it only goes halfway, it at least goes halfway because we see it here, but it could technically go forward a little bit more unless we have our dimensions. We don't really know that. So it would be a hidden line up to the point at which this section occurs. But since our section is in the front, then in the back here, this would continue on to be a hidden line to show that feature. So just to clean this up, this would be a hard visible edge. This would as well, because that's where our section cut is. This is a void. This is a section. This is a material all the way through with a hidden line showing where our void is in the background, which occurs in this area. Now if our hole did go all the way through on the front, on the top view here, we would show the headlines going all the way through, but our hole only goes halfway. Now we can't forget our headlines on our right side view as well. We do want to make sure we include those. Only going up to the point at which it stops, so halfway through our card. Finally, the last thing you want to do is add your center lines, showing where the cylinder shares that axis of revolution. So again, here you're going to have your extension just a little bit further out from the feature, and then a long, short, long dash line. So then our center line here is going to also go through the middle of our object. And then we would also have a center mark on our front view, going just to the edge